What if the heaviest burden you are carrying right now is a dream you no longer actually want? Have you ever noticed how society celebrates the act of holding on? We are told to never give up, to keep pushing, to stay the course no matter the cost. But what happens when the course you set years ago no longer feels right? You wake up one day and realize the vision you fought so hard for, the career, the relationship, the specific kind of life, feels more like a weight than a set of wings. You feel deeply guilty. You feel confused. You tell yourself you are just tired, or that you just need to work harder. The truth is much simpler and much harder to face. You have outgrown your own dream. In Buddhist thought, one of the deepest sources of our suffering is attachment to things that are meant to change. We understand impermanence in the world around us. We know the leaves must fall. We know the sun must set. But we struggle to apply this same compassion to ourselves. We believe that once we choose a path, a goal, or a desire, our identity is permanently locked to it. We cling to a past version of what we thought would make us happy. Imagine a small tree planted in a beautiful, ornate pot. For years, the pot is the perfect home. It provides boundaries, safety, and a place to grow. But as time passes, the tree's roots deepen. Its branches reach higher. Soon, the pot that once nurtured the tree begins to suffocate it. The roots hit the hard clay. The tree stops growing. If the gardener refuses to break the pot simply because it is beautiful and familiar, the tree will slowly wither. The pot was not bad. It simply no longer fits the size of the tree. This is your dream. The vision you had for your life 5 or 10 years ago was the pot. It served you. It gave you direction. It shaped who you are today. But you have grown. Your spirit is wider now. Your understanding of yourself is entirely different. Trying to force your current, evolved self into a past version of your life is quietly breaking you. Think about your own life. What are you forcing yourself to carry simply because you carried it yesterday? Are you exhausted from pretending you still want the same things? Are you holding on to this path because it brings you joy, or because you are terrified of who you will be without it? It takes immense courage to look at a dream you spent years building and softly say, "This is no longer for me." We often confuse letting go with giving up, but they are entirely different. Giving up is abandoning yourself out of despair. Letting go is honoring yourself out of truth. Letting go is an act of profound self-respect. Pause, breathe, observe the guilt rising in your chest without letting it control you. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to walk away from a future that does not belong to the person you are becoming today. Because peace is not found by forcing a fit. It is found by making space for what is true right now. But as soon as your hands open to release that old dream, the mind panics. It looks back at the years of effort, the late nights, the sacrifices, and it whispers a terrifying question: if I let this go, was all of my time wasted? And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of wasted time. Here is a truth that keeps so many of us chained to a life we no longer want. The fear that our past efforts will mean nothing. We look at the 5 years spent at a job, the decade invested in a relationship, or the endless nights poured into a path we no longer wish to follow. We tally up the hours, the sweat, and the tears. The mind creates a heavy ledger of sacrifice. We tell ourselves that if we walk away now, all of it was for nothing. We stay in the wrong place simply to justify the time it took to get there. We become prisoners of our own investment, waiting for a return that will never come. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to look closely at this illusion. The mind craves permanence. It demands a neat, finished outcome to validate the journey. But life is not a transaction. In Buddhist thought, every moment is complete in itself. The value of a flower is not that it blooms forever, but that it blooms at all. Nothing is ever truly wasted. Because every experience builds the consciousness of the person walking the path. Attachment to the final result blinds us to the beautiful, quiet transformation that happened along the way. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast, dangerous river. To survive, they must build a raft. They spend days gathering wood, tying branches together, and pouring all their strength into making it sturdy. The raft saves their life. It carries them safely through the rough water to the other side. But once they reach the new shore, their journey continues into a dense, mountainous forest. If the traveler refuses to leave the raft behind, dragging the heavy wood through the trees, simply because they spent so much time building it, the raft becomes a crushing burden. The raft was not a waste. It served its purpose perfectly. It kept them alive. But its purpose is over. This is how we often treat our past dreams. The degree you earned, the business you tried to build, the love you poured into a situation that did not last, these were your rafts. They brought you safely to the shore of who you are today. They taught you resilience, boundaries, and clarity. Leaving them behind does not erase their value. It simply acknowledges that the terrain of your life has changed. You cannot carry a river raft up a mountain. Ask yourself this: are you still dragging a raft through the forest? Are you holding on to a past decision just to prove to yourself or to others that you did not make a mistake? What if the only real mistake is refusing to step lightly onto the new shore? Pause, breathe, place your hand gently on your heart. Thank the old dream for what it taught you. Acknowledge the raft, honor the strength it took to build it, and then quietly set it down. Because the time you spent was never about reaching a final destination. It was about shaping you for what comes next. You have not wasted your life. You have simply finished a chapter. But letting go of the time spent is only one part of the struggle. The much deeper pain comes when you realize the dream did not just take your time, it took your identity. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. Detaching identity from achievement. What if you are not what you do? Here is a truth that terrifies us. We have spent so long building our lives that we have mistaken our labels for our souls. When we pursue a dream, we do not just give it our time, we give it our name. We say, I am an artist, I am an entrepreneur, I am a partner, or I am a success. We wrap our entire sense of self around a fragile external goal. We build our worth out of titles, accomplishments, and the approval of others. So, when that dream stops fitting, or when life forces us to pivot, the pain is agonizing. We do not just feel like we are losing a plan, we feel like we are losing our very existence. If you are not the person who is building that specific future, then who are you? The void left behind feels like an abyss. In Buddhist thought, this is the suffering of fixed identity. We believe that the self is a solid, unchanging object that must be defended and defined. But Buddhism reminds us that there is no fixed self. You are not a static monument, you are a flowing river. You are constantly changing, constantly arriving. When we attach our worth to a temporary role or a fleeting achievement, we trap ourselves in a cage of our own making. We suffer because we are trying to freeze a living, breathing spirit into a single, lifeless title. Imagine a vast, still lake at night, reflecting the bright silver of the full moon. The reflection is sharp and beautiful. Everyone who walks by points to the water and says, "Look at the moon." But the lake is not the moon. If a thick cloud rolls in and covers the sky, the reflection vanishes. The water turns dark. Has the lake disappeared? Has it lost its value? No. The lake is exactly what it has always been: deep, holding, and whole. It simply stopped reflecting one specific light. Your dream, your career, your roles, these are just the moon, the clouds, and the stars reflecting on the surface of your life. For years, you may have loved the reflection of a specific achievement. You worked hard to keep the water still so everyone could see it. But the reflection is not you. When a chapter ends and the image fades from the surface, you have not disappeared. The depth of who you are remains untouched. You are the water, not the light that dances upon it. Think about your own life. Who are you when the titles are stripped away? If you could no longer introduce yourself by what you do or what you are striving for, what would be left? Are you clinging to this old dream because you love it, or because you are terrified of the dark, quiet water underneath? Pause. Breathe. Let the label fall away, just for a moment. Observe the quiet presence that remains when there is nothing to prove and nowhere to arrive. You do not need a title to justify your existence. You are allowed to be undefined. You are allowed to let the surface of the water go dark for a while, trusting that you are still whole. Because your worth was never found in what you achieved. It is found in the simple, profound fact that you are here. But standing in that quiet, empty space without your familiar labels can feel deeply unsettling. When the noise of ambition stops, the silence can feel like a storm. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The courage to stand in the empty space. What if the feeling of being completely lost is actually the very first moment of being truly found? Here is the truth we spend our entire lives running from. We are terrified of the empty space. When you finally release a dream that no longer fits, there is a sudden, echoing gap. You wake up in the morning, and the heavy burden of your old ambition is gone, but nothing has taken its place. There is no new plan, there is no new title, there is only an uncomfortable, stretching silence. And in that silence, panic sets in. We feel an overwhelming urge to rush out and find a new goal, a new relationship, or a new obsession, just to fill the void. We would rather be miserable and busy than peaceful and empty. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this empty space is not a punishment, it is a profound gift. In Buddhism, emptiness is not a dark, terrifying void. It is the ultimate state of potential. It is the space where all new things are born. When our minds are crowded with desires, anxieties, and attachments, there is no room for truth to enter. It is only when we have the courage to sit in the stillness without rushing to fix it, define it, or escape it that true clarity can arise. We are taught to observe the discomfort of not knowing, letting the panic rise and fall like clouds drifting across the sky. Imagine walking for days through a dense, tangled forest. You have spent all your energy hacking away at vines, keeping your head down, focusing only on the next step. Then, suddenly, the trees break. You step into a wide, vast clearing. There is no path, there is no trail to follow. At first, the clearing feels terrifying. You have spent so long fighting the branches that the open space feels dangerous. You want to run back into the dark woods just because it is familiar. But if you stand still and look up, you realize something beautiful. The clearing is the only place in the forest where you can finally see the open sky. This clearing is where you are right now. The time between letting go of your old life and finding your new one is not a mistake. It is the necessary space for you to catch your breath. When you leave a demanding career, step away from a draining relationship, or drop the pressure of an impossible standard, the sudden freedom feels like a heavy silence. You feel behind in life. You feel like you should be moving, but you do not need to move. Ask yourself this: are you rushing into a new plan just to avoid the quiet? What are you afraid the silence will tell you if you stay in it long enough? Are you trying to run back into the tangled forest simply because you are afraid of the open sky? Pause, breathe, stop trying to force the door open. Let the space be empty. Let the clearing just be a clearing. You do not need a new map today. You do not need to know where you are going next. You just need to have the courage to stand in the open space without abandoning yourself. Because staying with yourself when you feel completely lost is the greatest act of loyalty you can offer. But how do you sit in this space without turning against yourself in frustration? And this is where the next truth begins. 5. the gentle art of not abandoning yourself. What if the harshest punishment you endure is not the loss of your dream, but the way you treat yourself when your hands are finally empty? Here is the truth few people want to face. We are deeply conditioned to believe our value comes from constant momentum. When we stop, when we step away from an old ambition and find ourselves in the quiet, a harsh inner critic wakes up. We berate ourselves for not bouncing back fast enough. We call ourselves lazy, lost, or a failure. We feel an intense shame for not having it all together, especially when we look at the world around us, moving rapidly forward. In the very moment when our spirit is the most exhausted, we abandon ourselves. We demand a triumphant comeback before we have even allowed ourselves to grieve what was lost. Buddhism reminds us that true compassion must begin within. In Buddhist thought, human suffering is often explained through the concept of the two arrows. The first arrow is the natural pain of life, the loss of a dream, the ending of a chapter, the deep confusion of change. We cannot avoid the first arrow, but the second arrow is the one we shoot into ourselves. It is the judgment, the anger, and the shame we feel for being struck by the first arrow. We suffer because we are suffering. We abandon ourselves by refusing to accept our own vulnerability. Letting go of the second arrow means watching the heavy feelings rise, without attacking yourself for having them. Imagine walking with a dear friend who has just stumbled and fallen on a rocky, difficult path. They are bruised, out of breath, and sitting in the dirt. Would you stand over them and shout? Would you tell them they are falling behind the other travelers? Would you demand they stand up and immediately sprint up the mountain? Of course not. You would sit in the dirt beside them. You would offer them water. You would tell them there is no rush. Yet, this is exactly how we treat our own minds. When you step away from a career that drained you, or release a standard of success that broke you, you are that exhausted traveler. But instead of sitting with yourself, you stand over your own soul with a stopwatch. You demand immediate healing. You force yourself to figure out the next 10 years of your life before the sun goes down. Think about your own life. Are you being a safe place for your own heart right now? When you wake up feeling lost, do you offer yourself grace, or do you instantly demand a solution? If someone you loved came to you with this exact same exhaustion, would you speak to them the way you speak to yourself? Pause. Breathe. Notice the tension in your shoulders and the urgency in your chest. You do not have to fix everything today. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Stop firing the second arrow. You are allowed to rest without apologizing for it. You can let go of the pressure to instantly transform. Because peace is not found by whipping yourself into a new shape. It is found by softly staying with yourself in the waiting. But this period of waiting is not just empty, wasted time. It is a season of invisible, vital work. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. The wisdom of the quiet winter. What if the season of your life that feels the most stagnant is actually the most necessary? Here is a truth we struggle to accept. We live in a world that demands endless summer. We are taught that we must always be blooming, always producing, and always visible. If we are not actively moving forward, we believe we are falling behind. So, when you release a dream and enter a period where nothing seems to be happening, it feels like a failure. You look around and see everyone else shining in the sun. You feel dormant. You feel buried. You tell yourself that this stillness is a sign that your life has stopped entirely. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to observe the natural rhythms of existence. Impermanence does not just mean that all things must end. It also means that all things operate in cycles. In nature, constant blooming is impossible. A tree that refuses to drop its leaves and rest will eventually break under the weight of the snow. In Buddhist thought, periods of retreat, silence, and dormancy are not signs of weakness. They are deeply sacred. They are the essential pause required before any true renewal can occur. Imagine a seed buried deep in the frozen earth during the darkest days of winter. Above ground, the world is grey and still. There are no flowers. There are no green shoots. To anyone walking by, it looks like nothing is happening at all. But beneath the surface, in the absolute dark, something vital is occurring. The seed is gathering strength. It is resting. It is slowly breaking open in the quiet, sending invisible roots deeper into the soil so it can survive when the spring finally arrives. The winter is not a punishment for the seed. It is a protection. This is the season you are in right now. When you let go of an exhausting path or step back from the constant pressure to succeed, you have entered your winter. Above ground, it might look like you are doing nothing. You might not have a grand new plan to show your family. You might not have updates to post for the world to see. But beneath the surface, in the deep quiet, your roots are healing. You are gathering the strength you lost while chasing a dream that did not fit you. Think about your own life. Are you demanding a harvest in the middle of winter? Are you punishing yourself for not blooming when you are meant to be resting? What if you stopped fighting the cold and simply allowed yourself to be still? Pause, breathe. Let the winter be exactly what it is. Let the branches be bare for a little while. You do not need to prove your growth to anyone. You do not need to force the sun to rise before it's time. Because the most profound transformations do not happen in the light. They happen in the dark, quiet spaces we are so afraid of. But eventually, the snow melts. You begin to think about moving forward again. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Redefining the meaning of a comeback. What if the greatest comeback of your life is not a loud, dramatic victory, but a quiet return to your own peace? Here is the truth few people want to face. When we walk away from a dream, a career, or a life we once wanted, the world expects a spectacular return. We are fed stories of the phoenix rising from the ashes, bolder and brighter than before. We convince ourselves that, to recover from a lost dream, we must build something twice as impressive. We want to prove to our family, our peers, and our own doubting minds that we did not fail. We imagine a grand reveal. We carry the heavy, exhausting pressure of a comeback tour, terrified that if we do not achieve something massive, we will be forgotten. Buddhism teaches us to look closely at this desire for applause. In Buddhist thought, the ego feeds on external validation. It demands to be seen, recognized, and praised. But true liberation is the release of the ego's endless need to prove itself. A central lesson of Buddhism is that the greatest victory is not conquering the world, but conquering your own mind. When we attach our healing to a public victory, we are just creating another trap, another pot that will eventually suffocate us. Letting go means releasing the need for an audience. Imagine a powerful river that has been blocked by a massive concrete dam. For years, the water was held back, forced to build immense pressure to spin giant turbines and generate power for a distant city. One day, the heavy concrete cracks, and the dam is finally removed. When the river is set free, it does not rise up into a roaring, towering fountain to prove its strength to the sky. It does not try to show the concrete how powerful it is. Instead, it simply settles back into its ancient riverbed. It flows quietly into the valley, slipping past rocks, nourishing the soil, and finding its natural course. Its freedom is not a loud explosion. It is a quiet return to its true nature. This is your comeback. When you leave a draining career or let go of the pressure to live up to someone else's standard, you do not need to build a new, bigger dam. You do not need to launch a massive new project just to show the world you have not lost your edge. A real comeback is not about proving you are unbreakable. It is about waking up in the morning without a heavy weight on your chest. It is about having the energy to look at the sky, to enjoy a quiet meal, to laugh without the shadow of anxiety hanging over you. Think about your own life. Who are you trying to prove wrong? Are you dreaming up a new path for your own deep joy? Or are you trying to build a monument to show the world you survived? What if your comeback is completely invisible to everyone but you? Pause, breathe, release the need for an audience, observe the urge to prove your worth, and let it drift away like a cloud. You do not need a grand reveal. You do not need a stage. You just need yourself. Because true success is not how loudly you announce your return to the world. It is how softly you can sit with yourself and finally feel at home. But a quiet comeback requires something we are conditioned to resist. It requires moving at a very different speed. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Trusting the beauty of a slower pace. What if the rush to rebuild your life is the very thing keeping you exhausted? Here is a truth that goes against everything we are taught. We live in a world terrified of slowness. We believe that speed equals success, and that a quick recovery is the only valid recovery. When you let go of a dream, the immediate instinct is to sprint toward the next one. We want to bypass the awkward, messy phase of starting over. We feel deeply uncomfortable with how slowly we are moving. You might look around and see others reaching massive milestones, while you are taking small, hesitant steps in a new, quiet direction. The mind panics. It screams that you are falling behind. You feel an intense pressure to accelerate to make up for what you see as lost time, punishing yourself just to feel like you are catching up. Buddhism reminds us that the future is a creation of the mind. The only place life actually exists is right here, in the present moment. When we rush, we are not truly living. We are simply rejecting the present in favor of an imaginary tomorrow. Mindfulness is the practice of slowing down enough to actually inhabit your life. In Buddhist thought, there is no spiritual reward for arriving quickly. The goal is not to finish the journey with speed, but to be fully awake while you are walking it. Imagine a master carver working with a rare, ancient piece of wood. If the carver becomes impatient and takes a heavy axe to the wood, trying to force a beautiful shape in a single afternoon, the wood will splinter and break. The only way to reveal the true form inside is to use small, gentle tools. The carver must work slowly, shaving away tiny, almost invisible ribbons of wood day after day. To someone watching, the progress might seem painfully slow, but the slow pace is not a lack of skill. It is a sign of deep respect for the material. The slowness is exactly what prevents the wood from shattering. Your life, your heart, and your new direction are that rare wood. You cannot take an axe to your life and force a new identity overnight. You are rebuilding your sense of self after releasing a dream that defined you for years. This requires the slow, careful carving of new boundaries, new routines, and new joys. Moving slowly through a transition, taking small steps while you figure things out, or cautiously opening your mind to a new way of living, is not a failure. It is a sign of profound self-respect. Think about your own life. Are you bruising yourself by trying to force your healing on a strict deadline? What if you gave yourself permission to be the slowest person in the room? Is the urgency to move faster coming from your own soul, or from the imaginary expectations of the people around you? Pause. Breathe. Bring your attention back to the exact place you are standing. You do not need to map out the entire mountain today. Just focus on the feeling of the ground beneath your feet. You can take your time. You can let the changes be small. Because a slow comeback is not a weak comeback. It is the only kind of comeback built to last. But as you move slowly, something unexpected begins to happen in the quiet space you have created. And this is where the final truth begins. What if the dream you just let go of was never meant to be your final destination, but simply the bridge that brought you back to yourself? At the beginning of this journey, We spoke about the deep, exhausting guilt of outgrowing your own life. We talked about the pain of realizing the beautiful pot you planted yourself in was no longer big enough to hold the roots you have grown. You were carrying the heavy burden of a path that did not fit you anymore, terrified that if you let it go, you would lose your identity, your time, and your future. But now, look at your hands. They are empty. And while empty hands can feel terrifying at first, they are also the only hands capable of receiving something new. You have stopped dragging the heavy raft through the forest. You have stopped forcing the lake to reflect a moon that has already set. You have bravely stood in the quiet clearing, allowing the winter to do its invisible work. You have realized that your worth was never tied to a frantic, rushing comeback. In Buddhist wisdom, non-attachment is not a cold, indifferent detachment from the world. It is the deepest form of love you can offer yourself. It is the profound trust that you do not need to force the river to flow, and you do not need to control the changing of the seasons. By letting go of the dream that no longer fit, you did not abandon yourself. You finally chose yourself. You made the brave decision to stop betraying your present for the sake of your past. Imagine that same tree we spoke of at the beginning. It has been taken out of the small, restrictive pot and planted in the wide, open earth. For a little while, the roots were shocked by the vastness of the soil. The tree sat quietly through a long, dormant winter, but slowly, gently, at its own pace, it begins to draw water from the deep earth. It does not explode into sudden, dramatic bloom to prove to the forest that it is still alive. It just quietly grows a single, strong new leaf, then another. And because it is finally in the right soil, the growth is no longer a struggle. It is entirely natural. This is the life that is quietly waiting for you. It is a life that does not require you to pretend, to rush, or to constantly prove your worth to an audience. When you trust the slow pace of your own healing, you stop fighting the reality of who you are today. You allow a truer life to emerge, not a life built on the rigid expectations of who you thought you were supposed to be, but a life built on the peaceful acceptance of who you actually are. Think about your own life one last time. Feel the relief of no longer having to carry what is too heavy for you. You have done the hardest part. You have opened your hands. Now, all you have to do is trust the quiet space you have created. Pause, breathe. Let the guilt dissolve completely. You are exactly where you need to be, moving at exactly the right speed. If these lessons touched your heart, surprise us. Share today with someone who may need a little more peace today. Let life meet you where you are.